I want to talk to you today about the importance of the added extra safety that is necessary for individuals with special needs in the school setting. In particular, I'm going to discuss the added security measures and the added at-risk there is for students with special needs. So when I'm talking about individuals that have special needs, there are two main types of individuals that have formally been identified. There are those that have a 504 plan, and this is covered under the Rehabilitation Act with the Office of Civil Rights. And the 504 plan is for anyone that has a disability, and to ensure that they have an equal playing field with all of the rest of their peers. And this is for all individuals for the rest of their life. So anyone that has a disability has the right to be treated as an equal or as a non-disabled individual just as much as those that do not have a disability. The purpose in the school setting is to prevent discrimination to those with disabilities and to level the playing field a little bit. So if an individual, for example, has attention deficit disorder, then they might have a 504 plan to address some of the accommodations necessary in the classroom, such as assistance with organization, no penalty for not bringing their homework or a pencil to class because they just cannot remember those items. There's no specialized instruction or case manager, and there's little monitoring for those individuals with a 504 plan. On the other hand, there are those that have an IEP or an individual education program, and that is covered under IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And this is a more intensive program for those individuals with special needs. There needs to be a team that needs to determine eligibility, all of these. This requires usually a specialized instruction of some kind. It could be modification and accommodations to the classroom along with other things. There has to be some goals and some direct instruction or consultation services. And these individuals that have an IEP also have a case manager, and the case manager monitors and tracks progress, checks in with the student, checks in with the family, checks in with teachers, and really is there to assist that student in any needs that they may have to be successful in the classroom. So a little bit of information. So bullying, by definition, is repeated aggressive behavior by one or more individuals that makes the other feel uncomfortable or threatened. And bullying can happen at pretty much any stage in a person's life. The elderly can be abused, the middle-aged people can be abused, teenagers and children can all be bullied. There's a special term that I found out there online, one that I was not familiar with, disableism, is bullying or discrimination against those with disabilities. And to me, that's particularly more offensive than bullying anybody else, because these individuals are more vulnerable and they really make easy targets, especially if someone that has like a physical disability, where it's obvious you look at that person and there is some sort of physical abnormality. It's super easy to just, find that person and make them a target, and it's so sad because these individuals obviously cannot. So what comes to mind when I think of bullying would be any of these pictures here, pointing and teasing, the actual physically pushing or putting your hands on another person, ganging up. Oftentimes I really, really visualize a group of kids pointing at and making fun of another person because of whatever reason. So these are your typical views of what most people think of when they think of bullying, is these images. However, this is not always the case. This day and age of technology, bullying can be done differently, and that is mostly called cyberbullying, and that is receiving hateful text messages on your phone, messages on Facebook, Snapchat messages that can be offensive. There's also these other online avenues of reaching out and harassing people. It's very unfortunate. In fact, this year my daughter was a freshman in high school, and there was this app that kids could get on their phone that you could actually say nasty things about people, and it was completely anonymous, but another person has an app can go on there and see that all of these people are saying these horrible, horrible things anonymously to other people. This form of bullying to me can be very detrimental to the person that's being done to, because there's no connection with it face-to-face. It makes the person doing the bullying so much easier because they don't see the reaction they're getting from the person they're harassing. They don't see that face, the sadness and their reaction and how much they've hurt that person. There's a huge disconnect to doing it cyber. So here you see we have some bullying statistics, and it is without a doubt there has not been that much research done here in the United States, but there has been done worldwide that children with disabilities are 2 to 3 times more likely to be bullied than their non-disabled peers. To me, that number that's just is outstanding. It's super, super unfortunate. In Maine, almost 50% of students with disabilities report being bullied, compared with almost 30% of their non-disabled students. Not a huge discrepancy here in the state of Maine, at least what is being reported. And researchers discovered that students with disabilities were more worried about school safety and being injured or harassed by other peers compared with students without a disability. Also, because they are being targeted, it's easier to target those individuals that have a disability. In terms of general bullying statistics, 1 out of every 4 students report being bullied throughout the school year. 64% of children who were bullied did not report it. Only 36% did. More than half of bullying situations stop when a peer intervenes on behalf of the student being bullied. And school-based bullying prevention programs decrease bullying by up to 25%. So to me, what's key here is 2 things that I find interesting is that when somebody intervenes, the bullying stops. So if you see somebody making fun of somebody, putting their hands on, or just, bullying somebody, if you say, hey, stop, that's not cool, chances are it's going to stop. Also, I'm not surprised at the low stats on school-based bullying prevention programs only decreasing bullying up to 25%. It's great that it's doing something. However, I just feel like it is not being taken seriously enough in a lot of school situations. And I think there's lines being blurred between bullying and typical student-kid behavior. Okay, teasing, oh, nice short, is not bullying. Once in a while saying, oh, who cut your hair? Did your mom cut your hair? Did she use a bowl to cut your hair? Those things are rude and mean and should not be allowed, and a teacher or any adult in the building should address that. However, that is not considered bullying. Okay, it needs to be a pattern, not just an isolated incident. So there are warning signs involved with individuals that are being bullied and those that are bullying others that those people should be aware of. So people that are being bullied, look for individuals that have a difficulty sleeping, if they're coming to school groggy or tired, that's out of the norm, okay? A change in attitude about school, not wanting to come to school at all, afraid to come to school, hating to be in a class, avoiding classes, skipping classes. Any self-destructive behavior such as cutting, drug, alcohol use or abuse, unexplained injuries. These can happen by physically getting bullied by others. It could be also lead into the next one, which is feeling or faking being ill. So they could fake an injury. They could fake being sick and fake not feeling well in order to go home to avoid being bullied by that individual. Well, there are also warning signs that come along with individuals that do the bullying. Those that get into fights often, that have an aggressive nature about themselves, that blame everybody else for their issues. I'm failing in the class because the teacher is bad. I didn't make the team because the coach doesn't like me. All of those things. If they're super, super competitive, we're talking like a lot of people are competitive. I am pretty competitive, but over the top competitive. And hang out with others that tend to be known as bullies throughout the school. Okay, so this bullying is happening. We see that it happens more for kids that have disabilities than than those that do not. So what's the big deal? Okay, so somebody gets their feeling hurt. Well, it is quite a big deal. These individuals are at risk for having anxiety and depression. In fact, suicidal rates go up. They're increased for academic issues. They tend to be more violent in life. They have mental health, behavior issues. They try to avoid going to school because that's usually where it's happening. It's happening in school. And they'll try to pretend they'll be sick. And really, it'll manifest itself in a physical way for a lot of these individuals, so they actually do become sick because of that mental issue that is going on in school, that is that constant nagging and that constant making fun of, that some people just cannot handle, and most people can't handle that after a while. You like to say, oh yeah, I can handle that, it's just words, sticks and stones, they break my bones. That is a bunch of baloney. Words hurt so much. Words stay with you. You get hit, you get a cut, you bleed, you get a bruise, you heal, you get better. But those words stay with you. And if you've heard these words said to you, they don't go away. Okay? They cause permanent damage. So this is just a visual of the results of bullying. Okay? It can be isolation, when you want to curl up in a ball and just push everybody away from you, even your friends, everybody. You just don't understand why this is happening to you. Can cause mental health issues, stress, depression, anxiety, suicide. Like I said before, that suicide tendencies tend to increase for those individuals that are being bullied, and drug use. Also can be a factor in bullying. And I love that one image of the words coming out of that person's mouth punching a person in the face, because it's exactly what it feels like. It really feels like you're being sucker punched with those words. And these are magnified with those that are that have a disability, because they're already vulnerable, they're already fragile. Depending on the degree of disability that there is they may not understand or comprehend what's going on. And a lot of individuals that have disabilities already have mental illnesses, already have suicidal tendencies and access to drugs and other means of ways of self-harm. And these increase with more stress and more pressures put on them, and that's just very, very sad. So I think that a lot of people can get involved in helping out bullying situation, and I think that we need to let the kids know that they can do something, okay? They can ignore what's going on. The more that you say, leave me alone, that hurts me, you're hurting my feelings, it really fuels that person that's bullying and wants them to continue. Try not to show that you're upset. Suck it in, bite your tongue, don't start crying, don't start shaking, don't try to, punch things, just act like it's just rolling off your back, like it's no big deal. Try to find a trusted adult. It's so important for each child in school to have an adult that they can go to, that they feel like they can connect to, and that will listen to them and hear them. Tell the bully to stop. Just stop. What you're doing is not okay. Stop. And if you see somebody bullying somebody else, they need to speak up and be the voice for those that can't, especially for kids that have some severe disabilities that are not able to speak up for themselves. They simply don't have the means to do that. If there is somebody else that can say, look, why are you doing this? This isn't cool. Stop it. So what can adults do? Well, we are the people that are in charge, and we should be able to do quite a bit. As we saw from the statistics, only 25% of the bullying stops due to bully prevention programs in schools. However, I feel like that is not a reason to not have them. It's just a reason to have them and have them be better. So having effective, clear, and comprehensive policies, procedures, and protocols are super important. Letting every adult that works in a building know what these are and have access to them at all times. Have them be posted on the website so families and community members have access to these so that they know what's going on, and can also reinforce that outside of school. Ongoing quality training for staff is important. Nowadays, teachers are bombarded with so many responsibilities, and they get very little training, like a 30-minute little thing. Oh, yep, bullying is a problem. Here's what you do. Move on to the next thing. It can't be as little as that. There needs to be more. What is bullying? What does it look like? What is it not? What do you do when you see it? How do you prevent it? How do you talk to kids that have been bullied? How do you talk to the person that's doing the bullying? How do we stop this from happening? A strong school leader that is supportive of a positive school environment is critical. If you have the teachers on board and you've got some students on board, if the leadership isn't there to invest the time and energy into making this effective, it's not going to go anywhere. And be aware of the warning signs of bullying. Listen and talk to kids when they want to talk. They're out there. You just need to be aware. There's some resources I found out there that are absolutely amazing, and I'm sharing them with you today, and I welcome you and encourage you to look at these on your own time. Some of them are pretty obvious, Stop Bullying Now, StopBullying.gov, Center for Safe Schools. The Pacer Center is really interesting, and I suggest you go check that out. as well as the Maine Department of Education website. Now, obviously, it's a it's a government website, which they're usually not very user-friendly. However, this link is not that bad. There are great resources there. There's links to other places that you can get help. I encourage you to look at that. We also have a bullying specialist here at Maine Department of Education, and that specialist's job is to be there for the school, to offer those resources, to do the training, to make your school a better, safer environment. And our kids with disabilities need that extra help. They really, really do. So I encourage you to look at what's out there, educate your staff, educate your coworkers, and educate the kids in what's going on, the importance of stopping it, and knowing how to make this stop. Thank you.